Good morning everyone, or good evening, depending on where you are. Since we're talking about trading in India with MetaStock 18, it's probably evening for you if you're watching from India, so welcome this evening. As you come into the room, say hello, tell us where you're coming in from. We are here in beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah. Glad to be talking to you about trading in India with MetaStock 18. I am Kelly Clement. I am your YouTube host today. I am thrilled to be here with you. Today, as your presenter, you'll actually have Jeff Gibby, our own Jeff Gibby, talking to you about how to use MetaStock in 18 in India, along with Indian data. So stay tuned for all of that. We're excited to have everybody here. So we're going to be getting started. It looks like in about 7 minutes. I'm just going to kind of do some checks, and then I'll be right back with you. Looks like we're looking pretty good. If you are not familiar with MetaStock, I'm actually just going to show you a quick video, show you what MetaStock is, who we are, what we do, help you learn a little bit more about it before the presentation. So let's go ahead and show you that, and I'll be right back with you.
Hi there, Greg Lewis, MetaStock Software. As the marketing director, I get asked all the time, what is MetaStock? How can I help my trades? Well, stick around for about 3 minutes and I'll tell you. MetaStock is an award-winning software and data package that has been helping traders for over 35 years. Simply put, MetaStock is a tool for traders like you to analyze the markets. MetaStock helps you take the guesswork out of trading by offering a methodical, systematic approach to some key questions all traders come up against. Questions like, how do I decide which securities to trade when there are literally thousands to choose from? Which strategy should I use, and how do I test that strategy before spending my first trading dollar? When should I enter and exit a trade? How can I effectively manage the securities I'm interested in? And of course, how do I know where prices will go next? At the core of MetaStock are the Power Tools. The Power Tools give professional-grade analysis tools to private traders like you and me. You can scan the market with the MetaStock Explorer to filter and sort securities that show buy and sell signals based on your criteria. The MetaStock System Tester lets you test most strategies through a process called backtesting, which allows you to see how your strategy would have performed over time. You can easily manage and monitor the securities you are interested in with QuoteCenter. QuoteCenter lets you sort on a variety of criteria to view the data that's important to you. Then just double-click on a security if you want to see its chart. With the MetaStock Forecaster, you can even take advantage of patented technology to view probable future prices. If you're an options trader, you're going to love MetaStock's OptionScope. OptionScope puts all the critical info at your fingertips, displaying sortable, customizable, color-coded options data, including the Greeks. And MetaStock has solutions for traders of all levels and interests. If you're just getting into trading, you will appreciate the education offered by our many built-in systems. In addition to pointing out buy and sell signals, MetaStock explains how they work in an easy-to-follow commentary window. MetaStock has built-in systems based on popular strategies like MACD, Bollinger Bands, turtle trading, candlesticks, and many more. MetaStock even has the very popular and exclusive Rahul Mohindar oscillator system, or simply known as the RMO. And as you become a more experienced trader, MetaStock grows with you. Advanced analysts will enjoy the comprehensive list of trading systems and indicators, and the ability to build their own systems. And if you're a day trader, you can't do better than Zenith, the real-time news, data, and analysis package offered by Refinitiv, a world leader in market data. Add on the world-class support, and it's not hard to see why MetaStock has won the Stocks and Commodities Reader's Choice Award for 26 consecutive years. To find out more about MetaStock and how it can help your trading, Visit metastock.com or contact a product professional via phone, email, or chat.
Okay, great. There is a quick overview of MetaStock, who we are, what we do. So we are going to be getting started here in about 2.5 minutes. I guess actually the one thing I did want to show you coming up, we do have an upcoming Traders Summit. If you want to get registered for that and learn more about that, you'll be the first to know about it. If you go to our website, just bring it up here. If you go to metastock.com, over here on the side, click on Events, and then click on, let's just go to Events here. And then if you scroll down here and go to Traders Summit, and just click on that banner right there, you can see the upcoming Traders Summit right here, who we have presenting and everything about it going on right there. So another great educational opportunity, and we will be looking forward to that. Okay, looks like okay, so we have about 1.5 minutes to go, and we will be right back with you. Okay, just checking in with Jeff over on the other side. Thanks for all the great comments and suggestions inside the chat this morning. So feel free to ask questions during the presentation. It's a great opportunity to learn from a MetaStock master. So let's go ahead and get this rolling. Jeff's all ready to go over there. So let's get the ball rolling and have a great webinar, everybody.
All right, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for coming. Hello, Argentum, Ganesh, Mittal, Phil, Pranay, Prenga, Rohit, Romaldo, Russell, Sanjay, Suvamar, Sumishin. Lots of people today. Welcome. Thanks for coming today. If just a couple notes as we get going today. My name is Jeff Gibby. I'm going to be running the presentation. I can and have queued it up so I can see both the questions that come in through YouTube and the questions that come in through GoToWebinar. So if you have any questions, let me know. Let me know you can hear me. I hope you're doing well. Let us know where you're from as well. I'm really, really curious in terms of like where you guys are from. So type it in the chat, type it in the comments. I'm curious to see. So before we get started today, I would just want to remind you that today's demonstration is designed to instruct you on using MetaStock and the accompanying software plugins. It's not a recommendation to buy or sell, but rather guidelines to interpreting and using specific indicators and features within the software. The information, software, and techniques presented today should only be used by investors who are aware of the risk inherent in trading. And MetaStock shall have no liability for any investment decisions based on the use of the software, any trading strategies, or any information provided in connection with the company. So there you go. I also want to say thank you to Viratech Software for helping us put together this event. Viratech is a fantastic company. We've been working with Viratech for longer than I've been an employee. I've been working here for like 25 years. They've got multiple offices down in India. They've been a great advocate of MetaStock. They're great students or teachers. They teach people how to trade the market. They've done a really, really good job. So I want to say thank you to them personally. Rahul, I feel is like a good friend of mine. He's been such an advocate of MetaStock over the years. And if you're interested in kind of local support in India for MetaStock, getting the upgrade, questions, viratechsoftware.com. As you can see, there's also a phone number and an email address there as well. So, yes. That is a good interjection. Let me do this. And now you should be able to see that. All right. Forgot to unpause my screen. I actually wanted to put this slide at the very front. And so there you go. You did also miss this disclaimer slide, which I read out loud, but I'll back it up so you can see it. So there you go. In any case, I did want to put this slide up front. We appreciate Viratech. They've done a lot of really good work with us over the years, and they're great people to work with. I tell this all the time, but the very, very first trading methodology that I ever used was the RMO models inside of MetaStock. So we're not going to cover those today. There's plenty of lessons that we've done on those, but we do appreciate all the stuff that Viratech's done. So hello, Greg. Thanks for saying hi. Where are you at today? Let us know. Okay. All right. Just to kind of give you an idea of kind of the presentation today, we will be talking primarily about the new things that were included between the 17 and 18 upgrade. Okay. And the reason I want to talk about that is it's a huge upgrade. Some of the things that they've actually included in this upgrade are, I always say it's my favorite upgrade, but like I absolutely love some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about today. But I don't want you to lose sight of the fact of MetaStock and kind of the heritage that we have. MetaStock was founded in 1982. When I started, it was 1997. We were owned by Reuters for a couple of years. We've always had really, really good data globally, including in India. We bought ourselves back from Reuters back about 2013-ish, so this would be our 9th year, and we have kept a really, really good relationship with Reuters and the data that they provide, as well as been able to kind of really focus in on kind of revitalizing the MetaStock, adding a lot of tools. And I'm going to try to keep it under an hour today, but I want to go through all the things that have been added between 17 and 18 because it represents a huge change in terms of kind of the ability and the things that it's a huge update of kind of like our charting engine primarily. And I'm going to try and go through that and give it justice. What I don't want you to forget about, though, is MetaStock has been rated #1 in its price category for like 29 years in a row. And that's by the readers of Stocks and Commodities magazine. And the reason it's been rated really, really well is, some of the tools that are so very, very helpful. For example, like the ability to test trading ideas and test them against multiple securities all at the same time. Or something that I use every day is the ability to go in and very, very quickly scan the markets, find any stocks that have a buy or a sell signal, and make all of the trading decisions that I need to. I literally can do that usually in about 10 or 15 minutes. Is there any new opportunities? Do I need to get rid of any of the positions that I have? And all of those decisions I can make very, very quickly as a result of MetaStock. And then, of course, the idea, all of the systems and methodologies that are built into there. We just added a whole bunch more in the 18. But what I want to really stress is today I'm going to be focusing on what's new between 17 and 18. And 18 is a huge upgrade. But the toolbox that we've been creating over the last 30 years is phenomenal. And I love the tools that are built in there. Our patented forecaster, our scanning, our testing, all of the systems, the real-time commentary that you can get from it. It's a fantastic tool. So, but we're going to be focused today on the new charting engine, the new trend lines, the new indicators, everything like that. So there you go. Ramil, thanks for the comment. Welcome. What part of India are you in? I'm very curious about that as well, but thank you for coming. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and get started then. All right. So today, what I'm going to try and do is within, and there is a lot to go through. It's a huge upgrade, and I'm going to try and very, very quickly go through, show you the new charting engine, the capabilities that it has, the styles that are in there, the updates that we've made to the indicators and the drawing tools, show you kind of some around the new things that we've changed about the PowerConsole. We're going to talk about OptionScope and what's new in that. QuoteCenter actually has some pretty cool changes as well. And just we're going to kind of walk through what's different between 17 and 18. So let's go ahead and start. Let's get going. And we will keep this as best as we can, Argentum, to less than an hour. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is actually one of the things that we've changed out here today, or with the new 18 upgrade, is the entire charting engine. It's brand new. It's built from the ground up, and it does, if you're an old MetaStock user and you've written indicators and other tools, they're going to work in the new charting engine. It's just that they're going to be prettier. They're going to have better functionality and better things that you can do with them. So what I've done, and I've got a bunch of notes that I'll refer to here, so I don't have to keep in PowerPoint as much, but what I've done is I've actually opened up a chart of the Nifty 50. And what I want to do is just kind of walk you through what's different, what's been changed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm just going to kind of start here by zooming in a little bit, and we'll kind of focus in. This looks very, very much like the US markets right now. Almost, you could probably overlay an S&P chart, and as long as you use the same scale, it would look the same. So in any case, though, let's kind of talk a little bit about the new charting engine. One of the things that we really kind of focused in on is, although we changed everything out, we really wanted to kind of give that same ease of use for a customer experience that you're used to. So when I go into change the charting style, right now we're looking at a bar chart. I'm going to right-click on it. Same way you would do in MetaStock 17, go to Properties. I'll be able to show you everything that's built into the Properties dialog box. As we go through the platform, you'll notice that when I add an indicator, I'm going to do it the same way I did it in 17. I'm going to do everything in a similar fashion. And the reason we did that was very on purpose. You know, one of the things that we kind of keep a constant idea about when we're designing software at MetaStock is how can we make it easy to use? Even dating back to the days of Steve Akalis, one of the things that he always wanted to talk about was he wanted you to be able to focus on what your stocks are doing and not trying to focus on the interface. And so we've always kind of kept a very simple user interface. We've tried to make it like Office. So you right click, you drag and drop. It's all very, very intuitive. And we didn't want you to have to learn a new charting engine. Everything that I'm going to be doing with the new charting engine is going to be very similar to those things that you did with 17 and 16 and the versions before that. Okay, so but I do want to show you. Let's go ahead, and what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to actually just restore the defaults for this page. We'll go ahead and click on Apply, and then basically what I'm going to do is going to walk you through kind of the different charting styles that are available. So right now we're just looking at a bar chart, as you can see on here. There's an up and a down color. And one of the things that we got a lot of questions about from customers is they wanted to be able to define how up and down is calculated. So right here, if you look right here, it says close to close. And so all that means is if we're looking up, we're going to be looking at the comparison of today's close and the previous day's close. And since NSEI, if you can't see it here, I'll just zoom in a little bit more. Okay, grab that splitter bar. Since NSEI closed a little bit lower than yesterday, because we're using that previous day method, it's going to be basically calling that as a down bar. Okay, so that's one of the methods that you have. Let me go ahead and open up that dialog box again. You can also use open to close. So what it's going to look at is it's going to look at the open, compare it to the close. And if I apply that particular method, since it opened low and closed higher, it's actually going to give you a green bar or an up bar. So those are the two options in terms of up or down. You can look at the close to close, or you can look at the close to the open relationship. And you do have control of that. By default, it's going to use a close to close for candlesticks or for bars. If we go into candlesticks, sorry about that. Let me go ahead and just do that real quick. And if I go into candlesticks, I'm going to go ahead and actually make sure we don't get any more distractions like that. Okay. Right, now we're in do not disturb mode. Okay, so if I go into candlesticks, I'm going to go ahead and apply that. I do have a lot more control over it. One of the things people wanted to look at with candlesticks is the typical way you can look at candlesticks is if it's the close is above the open, then it's a hollow candle or a green candle, depending on kind of like the way that you like to look at it. And so by default now, we do that instead of just basing it on that close to close relationship. So if I do candlesticks, I do have the ability to set an up color, an up fill color, a down color, a down fill color, and then I can use that same up down mode, which I'm going to use the open to close as well. Okay. I also have the ability, if I want to kind of come in here and customize those fill colors, I can go ahead and click into that fill color. I can set it, of course, to anything that I want. But one of the things that they've added is like an opacity setting. So right here, I've got red, green, blue colors that I can kind of define. I can also determine exactly how filled in my up candles are. And I'm going to make it a little bit hollow just to kind of show you. We've given you a lot better control over exactly the way that those candles show up. Okay, including if it's filled in, how it's filled in, the opacity, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So here, just to go through some of the dialog boxes with this, you've got the down color, the down fill, the up down mode, whether or not you want it to always fill, or if you just want it to fill if the close is less than the open. So here we can have completely hollow bars, the way that they did it with Japanese candlesticks initially, or you can fill them in as much as you want to, just by setting the always fill. Okay, and of course you have the weights and the parameters and that kind of stuff as well. So just looking for some questions. Anonymous trader wants to know what's the data provider that we're using here. Right now, what we're using is we're using the Refinitiv Zenith. We call it Zenith data provider. It's our real-time data provider. That's a really, really good question. You can also use with MetaStock any data provider that you want that provides data. We do have a special package that you can get with Viratech. It's called the India Data Select that offers all of the Indian markets as well as a collection of futures and stocks and other things that we've identified as important for Indian traders. And for more information on that, Anonymous, you can contact Viratech Software. The information that Kelly shared in the chat right here. Okay, thank you for the question. Appreciate it. Okay, in terms of other charting styles, you've got candle volume, equivolume, Heikin-Ashi, which is a new charting style. A lot of customers have been asking for Heikin-Ashi. We've actually added it as a charting style that you can use. And I'll just kind of show you what that looks like. We're not going to kind of go into exactly what a Heikin-Ashi chart is. There's some really good information on Investopedia. I think I just, hold on just a sec. Okay. Okay, and I'm just gonna go ahead and start, it looks like, okay, looks like a dialog box was open somewhere. I've got it all fixed. So with Heikin-Ashi, it's a way of kind of smoothing out. It looks at it looks at a different kind of a smoother way. It looks at a blend of the how I open, low, and close for the close, the open, and it's just a different way. So our customers have been asking for Heikin-Ashi. We've actually put it as part of the program. So let me go back into there. We'll go to properties here again. Again, you have complete control over kind of the up color, the down color, the fill, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's all built into there. Okay. We also have a line chart. I'm going to go ahead and apply this as a line chart. There's a bunch of options when we go into line. And again, I'm just going to zoom in a bit here. Notice how easy that is, how animated that is with the new scroll bar, which I'll talk a little bit about kind of the work we put into that. But if I just want to look at a line chart, there's all kinds of options available for me in terms of the way that that is plotted too. So I'm going to show you those real quick. They are, I can do a line, I can do a step line, I can do a filled line. So we can go ahead and click on OK and just see a filled line that way. I can go in and do a histogram or a dot. All of these are different options that I can use. So big, huge step forward in terms of the graphics, the interface, the way that things work. And for that, what I'm going to do is actually just go back to candlesticks. And we'll keep playing with this NESE eye chart as I show you kind of the changes that we've made to the indicator engine and the other changes that have been made to the charts, including one of my favorite new features when we get to drawing tools. So let me go ahead and apply the changes here. And we'll go ahead and click on OK. I'm going to go back to that PowerPoint. And again, so for the charting styles, in terms of different ways you can look at the chart, you get bars, candlesticks, candle volume, equivolume, Heikin-Ashi line, the step line, the dot, the histogram, the step fill line, and the fill line. So there you go. In addition to that, I want to kind of introduce the concept of themes. And let me go back into the software program with themes. What we've tried to do is make it very, very easy for you to kind of change colors without having to change all of the colors individually, et cetera, and just kind of give you different display styles. So right here in the lower right-hand corner of the screen, you'll notice that there's a theme button. Looks like a little painter's palette. What I'm going to do is actually just click on that, and we'll show you a couple of the different themes. So right now it's on bright white, which is a white background. If I change that over to black, it's just going to change the color and the chart and the style to black. Okay. If I come in here to black steel, again, you're just going to have a slightly different, more of an, if you have Zenith, if you have the real-time product that we offer, it's going to look a little bit more like Zenith. And there's about quite a few different themes that you can use in here, including like a dark mode. If you're interested in dark modes, there's actually plenty of those for you. If you're interested in bright modes, there's plenty of bright sparks and kind of gradients that are available. Here are the modes that are available. One of the things that's really cool about the themes is it has a little bit of a contrast detection. So you notice right here, we've got the green and the red. If I was to go into oscilloscope, which is a very green method, you'll notice that some of the colors that would normally not be visible, like that green against the green background, has changed so that they are visible. And that's just something that happens. Anytime you change the theme to a different kind of a theme, if there's something that would then be invisible on the chart, it's actually going to automatically change that for you. So that's the way that themes work. It basically kind of draws everything out on the chart for you automatically. I think what I'm going to do back is go back to the bright white here, which is my favorite. I like the white on black, or the white background. It's easier for me to see. If you like black or one of the other themes, you can easily change it with this theme menu. So, and then to reiterate exactly what's new in the themes, here's the list. I won't read it off like I did with the charting styles. There's a lot of them there, but it just allows you to easily kind of control the way that your charts look. So there you go. Okay. Another thing that I love is the scroll preview. So I'm going to kind of go back into the NSEI and actually show you kind of how that works. You'll notice right here in the 17 version of MetaStock and earlier versions of MetaStock, they had a scroll bar down here. We still have a scroll bar here. They've just made it really a lot easier to look at and understand. So for example, right here, I can see the data loaded. I can see exactly what that history looks like for all of the data I've loaded. So right here, this highlighted portion represents this of the chart. And I can see looking at it, here was the 2020 lows. I can very easily see where that was, as well as where we were back here. And I can see where we're at in range compared to all of the price data that's loaded. So I no longer have to kind of scroll back and see. I can just see very, very quickly looking at that bar exactly where high and low has been. Okay. If I want to zoom out on this, for example, if I wanted to kind of see where these 2020 lows were in relationship to where they are now, I can actually just grab this little splitter bar, and you'll notice very, very easily, very, very smoothly, I can go back to the 2020 lows. So here with the 2020, the Nifty settled out at about 8,000. Now they're at about 15,000. So they're still about, not quite, but about twice where they were for the 2020 coronavirus lows. And I can very, very easily kind of zoom in and out just using these little splitter bars. Okay. The other thing I can do is if I do want to take a closer look at any part of the chart, I can click on it. If I just want to look at that 2020 low, right here, I can just click on it. And you'll notice it very smoothly animated its way over, kind of gave me a little bit of an animation. I kind of like that. I think it looks cool. If I wanted to go back a little bit further in time, if I click right here, again, it's just going to give us another smooth animation. Okay, so I can do that anywhere on the chart. I love this little chart preview because it just gives me an idea of where things are. I like how easy it is to manipulate the chart. If I just want to zoom in or out on a specific area, I can do it with those sliders. I still, actually, my favorite way to zoom in and out of the chart is actually holding the control key and spinning the mouse a little bit. But there's a bunch of different ways that we can manipulate it. And I love that scroll preview. It's been a very, very good inclusion into MetaStock. It's not my favorite function. I'm going to get to that in a second, but it's certainly a thing. So with the new scroll bar, you have the ability to see all of the history that's happened. We call that the scroll preview. The highlighted area is the data that you're actually looking at. You can preview all of the data with this scroll preview. You can move back and forth between different chart segments just by clicking where you want it to go. And you can click and just make it as big, zoom in and out of the chart. And it's very, very well, it's pretty smooth. When I zoom out, it's smooth. When I zoom in, it's smooth. When I click to an area, it feels like a brand new charting engine. I'm so happy with the work that they've done with the programmers to kind of make this pop. It really works well. Okay, so that's the new scroll preview. The next thing I want to talk about is the way that they've adjusted indicators, the things that you can do with indicators and that kind of stuff. So, and we'll go through this list pretty quickly, just because I do want to, there's a lot to cover and there's a lot in this new upgrade and I kind of want to keep it. I want to go through it all, but I don't want to make it long. So let's kind of go talking with indicators. Again, if you're familiar with MetaStock and the way that MetaStock works, it's always a drag and drop operation to attach an indicator. You can go in and hit insert indicator, but usually the easiest way to do that is to actually do a drag and drop operation. So I'm going to go ahead and do the new a new MACD histogram indicator. This is a new indicator for MetaStock, and just show you how this works. I'm going to drag this, I'm going to drop it into the chart, and it's going to automatically kind of detect, we call this smart select, but what it's going to automatically do is detect if this should go normally over in its own window, or if it should go over the chart. So if I click on OK right here, you're actually going to get a new window for MACD histogram. Okay, you get a lot of new controls. So this is the version of MACD that's been popularized by Linda Radke. It has basically your MACD line, the signal line, and then the difference. Those are the three lines that are plotted. And again, we won't get too much into technicals today, but I do want to show you kind of the things that have been changed here. So if I double click on the MACD histogram, I'm going to have the ability to set things for all of the plots that are shown up, including whether I want the MACD as a line, the moving average as a line, and the differential. So right now, I'm just going to change the differential. Instead of doing a histogram, I'm going to do a field line. And what I'm going to do is I'm leave it as blue, but I love being able to set the opacity of that. So I'm going to go ahead and lower the opacity of that field line. I'm going to go ahead and click on apply. Going to go ahead and click on OK, and you're going to have that charting style, exactly the way you kind of wanted it set. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and click on there just so I can show you the different options. They've put all of these on the same page for you, so you're not just looking at the signal line on because you accidentally clicked on the wrong one. Anything that's plotted here, you can change, and again, you'll have access to some of the same things that I've shown you in the line studies when you plot a chart. So you can do line, you can do step line, you can do step field line, you can do dot and a histogram, and all of those are user definable. In addition, everything has an opacity setting, so you can go in and say, oh, I want it to be kind of lighter on the chart. I don't want it to be quite as prominent when it's filling in those lines, but do want a little bit of a shading, and you can set that to exactly the way you like it. So that's very, very cool. In addition to that, so they've added all those plot style options, the line style. A lot of the envelope type studies like Bollinger Bands, you can actually plot between. So let me go ahead and grab Bollinger Bands out here. Again, if you're not familiar with MetaStock, this is a list of the indicators. There's a couple hundred on here. Just find the ones that you want, just drag it and drop it onto the chart. So I'm going to go ahead and drop Bollinger Bands on the chart here. I'm going to go to color style. And right here, we've got band, middle, lower. And it's also going to have fill options. So I'm going to go ahead and apply this so you can kind of see. Again, that fill is a little darker than I like it. It kind of For me, it overblows the price point. I can't see it as good as I want to. And so if I want to change that and just make it a little bit more, let's say, subtle. Subtle is a good word. I can come in here to advanced. I can adjust that opacity setting. We can go ahead and click on apply, and I can get to that to the point where I'm very, very comfortable. I like this better personally because I can see the chart's a little bit better. I still have an idea of where the Bollinger Bands are. And this is another thing that we've changed. You can now fill between these channel bands, okay, on indicators. So you can also set indicators to invisible. I don't need to show that. They do smart plot. We did add a new volume up down, which is actually really, really cool. I'm going to show that to you. So I'm going to come in here. This is volume up down. I'm going to plot that on the chart. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of give you an idea of what it looks like. So we have an up down. We have an up color and a down color. And I'm going to go ahead and plot that. And then I'm going to go back into the properties. And again, if you're familiar with messing with MetaStock and moving things around, it's just as easy as it's always been. I just drug those to where I wanted to be. You'll notice that these are color-coded. Now the volume bars are color-coded. And there's a couple of different control mechanisms that you have for that. So if I click into that and I go down to the properties, I can do a up-down. It'll be an up day if the close is higher than the previous close. So that's why the last two bars on NSEI are red, because I can also look at volume. So if I look at volume, if the volume is greater than the previous day, it's going to be green. Otherwise, if it's a down volume day, it'll be red. So those are the controls that you have. So I'm going to set that back to close. We'll go ahead and add that. And now we have had a very simple way that you can color code volume in kind of the way that you want as well. Okay. The other thing that we've added is the built-in MACD histogram. I showed that to you. That was actually something that I really wanted. So we actually even built a template around it. It's included with 18, but it just is the more popularized, Linda Radke popularized a different view for the MACD that added the third line. This is a way to look at that. Okay, that's now built into MetaStock. The other thing I want to show you as we get into the, before we go into the drawing tools and kind of how those have changed is the Ichimoku. So, and this is actually pretty huge. If I add a Ichimoku Kinku Hui chart to a Kinku Hui indicator to a chart, it will now automatically plot into the future. So with MetaStock, with the old charting engine, it was very, very difficult to plot into the future. Now MetaStock is now plotting into the future with the Ichimoku cloud. So there you go. That's brand new, just something that we can do as a result of having a brand new modern charting interface. So Rajender says, I want to see, okay, Rajender asked a question. We're just going to deal with a couple questions. I'm sorry I haven't looked at the questions for a minute. Rajender can only see my face. Hello, Rajender. It's nice to see you. I think what you're doing is you're watching on a tablet or a phone. And so if you just want to see what I'm presenting, swipe either left or right, and it'll go to the chart and you won't see me anymore. So there you go. If you're watching on the web, there should be a little splitter bar and you can make me as big or as small as you want to. So hopefully that's helpful for you, Rajender. Thank you for the question. Sorry I didn't see that for a minute. Okay. Gangarian says, hi, I'm from Bangalore in India. Awesome. Karnataka. Okay. Rajender wants to know if it works on a laptop Surface 7. As long as it has the full version of Windows, it should work. No problem on that laptop. Okay. Midtil says, will 18DC work with local data vendor, or the data has to be sourced from MetaStock only? Midtil, that's a really good question. I appreciate it. I'm going to answer it as clear as I can. So you can use it with a data vendor. There's 3 data formats that we support for local data. They are MetaStock Local, which is our new file format, MetaStock Legacy, which is what a lot of the old data providers that have been around for a while support. And we also support CSV. Okay. I'd also recommend that you look at, I had mentioned it a little bit earlier in passing, the what we call the India Data Select package, which you can find out more information with Viratech at the link here. See if I can just copy this link real quick. Copy link address. Hopefully this works. without having me to type it out. It's a big YouTube redirect. Give me just a second. If you just go to viratechindia.com, you can contact them and they'll talk about. We put together a really cool package that includes some Indian data, some futures, some international data. It's called India Data Select, and if you want to get hold of Viratech, they can help you with that and understand that. But if you do absolutely love your own provider and you want to use your own provider, as long as they support either the old MetaStock format, the new format, or an ASCII CSV format, you'll be fine. So there you go. And Viratech can help you with that as well. That's a really good question. Let's see. Vincenzo says, good morning. Good morning, Vincenzo. Good to see you. Thanks for coming. I hope things are good in Italy today. All right, cool. All right, let's kind of recap real quick. So for the indicators, for plot style options, you have all the different options I showed you. You fill between the envelopes. Actually, all values will plot in that title bar now. You can make indicators invisible. You have smart plotting indicators when you drop them. There's the up-down indicator, which is awesome. The MACD, the popularized MACD is now an indicator that's available. You can plot into the future. I'm told this is a very big deal, but it's only for people that are really into programming with MetaStock. Lynn on our staff tells me this is huge if you use a p variable. So I'll mention it. I'm not going to show it, but it will display indicator values for your p variable automatically. So there you go. That's for nerds only. So there you go. Drawing tools. Now we're going to talk about some of the things I absolutely love in the thing. And the first thing that we're going to, obviously when we rebuilt the charting engine, we had to redo all of the charting tools as well. I love to do charting trend lines and kind of see how things have gone up and gone down. So we're going to start there, and I'm going to just kind of walk you through all the changes that have been made. So let me pop into MetaStock again. I'm going to spend a second and just kind of clean up this chart because it's getting a little bit cluttered. So let me go ahead and delete, close, and we're going to deal mostly with price and volume and mostly with drawing tools as we go forward. The one that I really want to show you is actually my favorite thing of all, and that is the trendline drawing tools. So what we're going to do here is, of course, the trend line is in the same place as it's always been, but you draw it the same way that you always do. And what I'm going to do is actually draw a trend line and see how the default is set. So I'm go ahead and put a trend line from actually the high price. I'm going to change this just by moving it around a little bit to the low price. And you can see during Corona, the drop in the Nifty 50 was about 39% from this high to this low over about 47 days. So I can easily see where that is, and it's going to give me that. That's an option that you can set. Okay, and I'm going to play with those options a little bit more, but how I've been using it lately is obviously the markets are kind of been in a pullback mode. And I like to compare the pullback that we've had to pullbacks we've had recently. So I know that the Corona crash for the Nifty was about 40%. In the S&P, it was about 34%, if I remember right. And I can easily measure that. If I want to compare that to like where we're at right now in the Nifty, we've only gone down to about 15%. So that makes sense. I don't anticipate that, like the fear, at least the way I see it, is like everybody was really scared. We had a massive drop for Corona. And I don't see that happening quite as extensively, but if I wanted to see where a 39% from the high Nifty level would be, I can grab this trend line tool. I can go down and just, I have it snapped to price. I can't do that right now. Let me go into the properties real quick. I don't want this snap to price right now. I'm just set that to none because I want to see how far a 39.8% drop would take us. So if I want to see where that is in a chart, it's going to be right about there. So that would be like your level. If we had a Corona similar drop, it would be about 39%. So you can already see with the trend lines, they've actually added the ability. This one went down 39% 2 periods with this trend line. Now that's just trying to kind of duplicate a similar size drop to what we had right here, right? But if we wanted to kind of see exactly how far we're down, Nifty is actually in a lot better shape than the S&P. It's only down about 17% right now, okay, from the high. So obviously, like if if we're going to be really, really gloomy and we expect the 40% drop, we got a little bit of a ways to go, and we can kind of measure that on the chart. And I love that about the trend line tools. If I want to measure how much we've gone up, let's like how much the recovery was, for example, I can grab it right here. I can draw this line on the chart from the up to the high, and I can tell you over 390 periods, there was 147% growth. 147.66 growth. So you can see that I think these are helpful. I love them. I use them all the time, and I use them kind of measure stuff like this, exactly what this is going on. So let me just kind of talk a little bit about the trend line changes that have been made. Obviously, I've got this set to default. It's the default in the webinar machine, but I also want to show you kind of how to set them up as well. So here, what we've got is we've got a start date and a start value, and these are just set when you automatically run it. We can put a left arrow and a right arrow on there. You just check if I put a check mark and click apply, that right arrow goes away, okay? I can show the label. So I'm showing a label on here, and it's showing the percentage move and the number of periods. So right here where it says show info, in percent change, that's what it's doing right now, and the number of bars. If I want to change that to number of points instead of percent, I can apply that, and it'll just instead calculate the actual points value instead of the percent. In this case, it's up 1,000 points over 390 periods. Oh, I'm sorry, 11,000 points, a little difference there. Okay, so that's something that's available for you. I can also just instead, if I don't want those values, and this is something I'd never do, I love these values, I'm going to leave them the way that they are, but I could do a custom label. I could call this the Corona Recovery. I can set the font and the details there. I can go ahead and click on apply, and it's really, really easy for me to do. I didn't spell Corona right, but there we go. I can also extend to the left and the right if I want to. Those are pretty easy check marks. That's always been available. There are different snap modes, so I can actually say I want this to end on a period or a bar, and it'll make sure that it always ends on a bar. I can also say I always want it to snap to price. So if I want it to make sure that I start on a low and end on a high, I can have it slap to price, and it'll always be either the high or the low, depending on where I'm pointing at when I draw the line. So these that isn't new, but the ability to just snap it to a bar or not snap it at all is a brand new functionality as part of the trend line. I love this. The ability for me to show these labels and see exactly what the performance is, absolutely. Another thing that we added is the ability to save these. So you notice that it had the default setting. It was showing me that performance information automatically. All of the drawings tools now have setting saves, like the Fibonacci's. So if you have your own custom levels and you want to be able to set those and have them be the default every time, if I click right here on defaults, there's a couple options that I have where I can save this as a default. And this applies to like all of the drawing studies. So I can save the current page as the default, and that's what it's going to show every time I draw a new drawing study. I can restore the defaults for this page, or I can restore all of the factory defaults. But one of the things that we've been asked for by especially our Fibonacci users is their ability to set their own custom levels and save those. And now you can do that. You can also do that in a lot of different dialog boxes, like the indicators, for example. So I save this as the page, as the default for this page. Every time I draw a trend line, it's going to say Corona Recovery on it, which probably doesn't make a lot of sense. But if I save it as I want to show performance information percent and change, every time I draw that drawing tool, it's going to show. So we'll go ahead and click on OK there. So there you go. Okay, so that's the change that we've made to the trend lines. Again, just to reiterate, you can add arrows, you can show the performance information, you can show how many bars it's been, you can add custom labels, and you have the snap to price options. Okay. I do want to show you some Fibonacci tools, so we won't get too lost in the different drawing tools, but we did make some changes to Fibonacci that are fairly cool. So I'm just going to go ahead and kind of clean up this chart and get ready to put some more lines on here. Again, if you're familiar with MetaStock, adding this stuff is going to be very, very similar to what you're kind of used to. I am looking for the timer real quick here. If I do a Fibonacci, let's just do a retracement to show. If I do a retracement on the chart, it's going to automatically show the percent value and the point value. So that's by default now. And it'll have kind of the regular built-in defaults that I use. If I want to go into that drawing tool, remember, anytime you want to change something in MetaStock, just double click on it. I can come in here, and now I have the ability to do a right extension, a left extension. I can snap it to period or price or not snap it at all. I can calculate levels using percent change on a log scale if you want, and I can show these retracement labels. I can turn those on and off. I also have complete control over what font and what size they are as well. If I come to color style, I do have the ability to control all of the lines either individually or at the same time. So right now we've just got the default built in. We've got 0, 23, 38, 50, 61, and 100. If I want to add a line, right here you see percentage value. I'm going to add 20% just so you can see it, not that it's a valid level, just so you can see it. We'll go ahead and add that to the chart, and you'll see that it's added a 20% level for me. I could do that if I have custom levels. A lot of people like to look at their own custom periodicities. I can do whatever I want here. But if I have a bunch of custom levels, that default option is right here again, so I can save it. I don't have to set them every time I draw a Fibonacci level. This is something that's new in MetaStock that is built based on suggestions from users. They wanted the ability to save those, and it was a very, very good suggestion. Okay, I do have the ability right here. You've got the default line settings. So if I wanted to change all of the colors at once, I can go to red. I can change the style and the weight. So we'll go ahead and click on apply, and all of those will change. I also have individual control. So if I want to come in here and just change every other line, so I have solid, dotted, I can do that. You just kind of set them exactly the way that you want. And even though that might take a minute, once I have it set up exactly the way I want it, I can save that as a default. So every time I draw a line in the future, it's going to be the default. So love that. Is something that's been available. This control line setting, this just shows the color where your line is drawn. We call it a control line. And you can color that individually as well as if you want. So we go ahead and click on OK. I'm not going to save this as a default because I don't want that 20% level showing up again. But there you go. That's how the Fibonacci lines have changed. So let's see. So you can save the defaults, change colors per line and save. I'm going to go ahead and delete that one. I do want to show, we did work with Don Fishback quite a bit on his probability cones line study. We've made some adjustments to that. I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time on it just because this is a massive upgrade, but I do want to show it to you real quick. So I'm going to draw a probability level here. Okay. And if you're familiar with Don Fishback, the probability cone, there's a certain probability it's going to stay in this shaded area, and there's a bigger probability that it's going to stay in these shaded areas. And he does some option strategies, has a really cool expert advisor called the odds probability expert. I believe it is what it's called. You can look at it. That basically looks for areas of declining volatility. But with this indicator now, working with Don, we've actually added a second probability cone. So you can actually define your own. So like if you wanted to use the historic volatility over 1,008 periods, that's what it's going to default to. But the middle shade, this is a 68% probability that's going to stay in these bands, and a 95% probability it's going to stay in these bands. If I wanted to add like a 50% probability level, I can go ahead and do that. I can increase the drift period as well. So I can have it drift up or down. If I have a bullish bias on the stock, I can add a drift to it if I want. And then I just click on apply. And if I want that to always show up again, I can save the defaults again. So the probability cone is really cool. Again, but we're not going to kind of go too far into what it is and what it does. Another tool that I'm going to show you real quick in terms of the drawing tools is the Andrews pitchfork. We've made some pretty big changes to that. Again, I'm going to stay away from kind of explaining what the pitchfork is just because I don't want to make this a 3-hour webinar. But I will just show you kind of what's available. So with a pitchfork here, I'm going to basically, the way you draw a pitchfork is you draw 3 lines. So you'll start here, here, and you'll draw a 3rd line. Okay. Vivek says, are Heikin-Ashi charts available in version 18? Yes, Vivek. If you just double click on your chart, go to properties, right there, Heikin-Ashi. There you go. I told you it was requested a lot. So yeah, it's brand new. It's part of 18 and it's included now. So thank you for that question too. Anonymous trader asks, can we find option puts and calls? And I will show that in just a second. So the answer is yes. So okay. go ahead and click on cancel here. Right here, I've drawn an Andrews pitchfork. We're not going to talk a lot about Andrews pitchfork. It's an envelope kind of airband channel type of a study. If you click on help, it'll explain exactly what they are. We did add the snap mode to that. We now have 3 different render types. So you can calculate these standard, shift, or modified shift. And they are quite different in terms of the way that they're drawn out. The shift is going to look something like that. You can see it's very, very different, but that's how a shift line would look. And so we've added some, based on like some requests that we had for the ability to do that. So that covers what I wanted to cover in drawing tools. And I have this all on the slide, so we'll just reiterate what it is real quick. There you go. Oh, and it's easier to access text properties. I'm not going to show that just because I want to keep things moving. But we got trend line, snap to price or period, the ability to save defaults, changing colors for every individual line if you want, save that as a default if you want, the odds going. Oh, crosshairs. I do actually want to show that real quick. So if I come into crosshairs, we've had crosshairs for a while. The thing that we've changed, if you notice that it's pointing right here at the very bottom, it's telling you exactly what time and price you're at. So right here, it's saying at the bottom on the scale, 11:03, I'm pointing to my screen like you can see where I'm pointing, but you also see exactly what price level that is on both axes. So that's actually a nice little quality of life enhancement. We've got the Andrews pitchfork updates, the control lines you can set, easier to change tax properties. I just love, I hope you do too. I love how things are very, very fluid in the charting styles and that kind of stuff. And there you go. In terms of the chart, there are some things that we'll show you about the x-axis and the y-axis. Let's go ahead and kind of just run into that real quick. This is the y-axis. I'm going to add the Inchimoku indicator real quick here. We'll go ahead and click on OK. And you'll notice that we have labels now for all of the indicators that are on the chart. Okay. There isn't one here on volume, but it is optional. You can set it. So right now, we can see exactly what the indicator levels are displayed on the chart right here, as well as the price. And you can let me go ahead and click into expert properties. There are some pretty cool changes here that I want to show off. You can do a semi-log scale and an inverted scale. We've done that for a while. You can show the last price label and the indicator last value labels. So if we just want to see the last price label, we can just show that. If we want to show the indicators, you can go ahead and apply that as well. In terms of display units, we added this for our futures traders. And that's the ability to show, because like a lot of futures, they'll trade in fractions. So right here, we're using the symbol definition, which is going to be 16,887 with 2 decimals. Okay, I can define that now. It'll try and figure it out based on the symbol definitions that we get what's the most appropriate. But if I want to look at this, if this is traded in 16ths or 30 seconds, because it's a futures contract, I can go down here, I can apply it, and I can now look at that. And instead of showing value with a decimal, I know exactly what it's trading in 30 seconds. Okay, if I go back to decimals, I can define exactly how many decimals that goes out here. So if I'm looking at like Forex, and I want to see 4 to 6 decimals, I can actually define that and force it. Okay. Again, it's going to, by default, use the symbol definition. So it's going to try and just determine the best integer to show you, but you do now have control over that. Okay. So in addition, if I come over to grid, you had the ability to show grid lines and grid lines before. That's what that looks like. I can now show grid bands, which I really like. So I'll show you what that looks like. If I show grid bands, it's just going to kind of give a little bit of a highlight instead of actual lines through the chart. I like that on the y-axis quite a bit. I don't particularly care for it on the date axis. So if I come to the date axis, I can show the grid bands vertically. That makes it a little bit messy for what I like. I just kind of I prefer just the horizontal ones. But the nice thing is you don't have to go with what I like. Set it the way you like it. So here's the option for grid lines, and there's the option for grid bands. Okay. On the scale, they've cleaned up these changes quite a bit. So you can, the display range and the data request, these are kind of now collapsible. If you don't change them ever, you can also expand them. And we tried to kind of adjust the language so it's more logical in terms of what you're looking for. Cool. You're welcome, Vivek. No problem. If you guys have, thanks for the question. I'll try and keep up to all of them. Absolutely. And you're welcome, anonymous trader. I will show the options stuff in just a second. So that's, in a nutshell, what they did with the X and Y axes. You've got the grid lines, the grid bands, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And let me kind of move on a little bit. Oh, this is cool. You'll note right here, they've made some changes since we were redoing the charting things. We've made some kind of other updates. If I want to do, like right here, you'll notice that we have our settings that we've had: tick, 1 minute, 5 minute, 10 minute, 30 minute, hourly, etc. Those are always here. You'll notice I have a 45-minute chart that's here, a 100 tick chart, the 610 chart, and a 75-minute chart. Anytime I set a custom time interval, it's going to keep track of it up to the last 4. So for example, if I come in here and I say I want a 120, I go to custom, I say I want a 120-minute chart, I'll click on OK. It's going to say interval hour 120 right there. So it's a little bit easier to identify what we're doing. But if I go to change that interval, you'll be able to see that I have that as a most recently used one. And I know quite a few of you like to look at 75-minute charts. So I'm going to set that as a 75-minute chart. And now under that most recently used, you're going to have that 75-minute chart right there. I know that's something that Rahul is a big fan of, having the 75-minute increment that's available. And it's going to automatically remember the most recently used 4 timeframes that you've used. And not only that, they also show up in the PowerConsole. So if I'm always using that 75-minute, I've set that. If I go to open up a new chart, let's say tcs.ns, let's go to chart first. If I go to open up a new chart, you will notice when I change the interval here, that 75-minute is an option that's going to be remembered for me. So that's a really huge update, especially if you like to use non-standard timeframes. So we added it for you because you asked for it. So there you go. So other updates that they've made is, and I'll just go to the screenshot for this. You've got the most recently selected time periods, easier identification. It actually says intraday 75-minute instead of kind of, you can change the tile settings as the chart loads. You can actually show in activity gaps if you go to the properties, and you have time zone options, which I think for the purpose of time, I won't show you where those are, but if you just click tools options and go to chart options, you'll be able to change. Show in the activity gaps is under sessions times, and time zones are, I believe, under chart options, but those are both options that are available for you. I'm taking it to heart that you guys want to do a little bit shorter ones. So Anonymous Trader wants to know if it supports multiple monitors, and I will say that that is something that we are working on, Anonymous. It's not something that's in 18, but there's a huge amount of new things in 18. Multiple monitors is something that we are working on right now. So have more formula button boxes been added to the explorations. The older versions have 12 boxes plus a filter box. That has not been changed either, Vivek, but it is something that we get a lot of requests for. So when we do spend some time on the scanner, it will I appreciate the suggestion. We will. It's been something that is asked for, and as you can tell, we do listen to those changes or those suggestions. We actually spend a lot of time listening and saying, okay, well, here's this. These have been things that have been requested. So let me go ahead and go right here again. We have made some pretty cool PowerConsole updates as well, and I'm just going to show you exactly what those are, and then we're going to go on to move on to other things. So we added search functionalities in the PowerConsole, and these have been extremely helpful for me. I'm going to take this out of here, and we'll start with the charting tab. One of the questions that I come across a lot of times is like, okay, oil is going up. Is there any ETFs, or is what type of things for example, might require or have oil in it. About a year ago, lumber went through the roof for some crazy reason. And is there a way that I could take advantage of that? What's involved in oil? So what we've done here is we've added the ability to search your symbol list. So if I want to look at all of the instruments that have the word oil in them, I can type that out and I can see those from an exchange view, what has oil in it. So if this is an Indian event and I want to see everything on the NSE that has the name of India, the oil in it, I can actually see right here that 0 stocks have the name oil in them in the NSE. Okay. Now I could actually also look at gas. Nope, I still am getting a 0 with gas in the name. But if I was looking for some instruments that I could potentially trade, maybe maybe I'm looking for an ETF, oil. Oh, okay. No, I'm confused. Never mind. I always thought that was weird. So it's still showing 0 because I have 0 selected, and that was what was throwing me off a little bit. If I expand this, you've got the Gandar oil refinery, the reef oils, which isn't probably oil, oil lubricants. All of these just happen to have the word oil in their name. So if I'm looking at a place that I can buy oil because I anticipate prices for oil are going to continue to go up for whatever reason, technically or macroeconomically, or stuff like that, I can actually focus in on that. So if there are things that I want to take advantage of, maybe I think lumber is going to improve, I can actually search for it in here, and I can easily find everything that has just the word lumber in the name or the description. So there we go. We've done lumber. There's some things on the Bursa Malaysia and the Tokyo NYSE. There wasn't anything on the NSE, but now I can easily find what I want, even if it's something somewhat broad. I just want to find an oil company. That was the way we could identify all of the companies that have oil in their names in NSE, and that's something that's be really, really handy. So in addition to that, with MetaStock, we talked about how you can do scanning and system testing, forecast, and like all the systems that are available in there. We've added scans to, or the ability to search for your scans. So I said I'm going to show this on the Rahul Mohindar scan, but if I wanted to find all the RMO scans, for example, I can come up here. I can type in RMO, and all of the ones that have RMO in here are going to be listed, and I can see that there's a bearish zone, the bullish zone, the market trend new blue, the market trend new red. All those scans I can very, very easily find. Okay. We also move favorites up here. So if I wanted to select all of these, boom, 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 and add them to favorites, okay, and now have them over here. Actually, you need to add all selected to favorites, but now I've got them here, so I don't have to search every time if I want to. I got them all here in my favorites list as well. So made it a lot easier to find explorations, system tests, symbols, whatever it was else from there. So they also did clean up the chart options. These options right here are definable. And I think that's it for the PowerConsole. They made some pretty big changes to that. Okay, moving on. There's that list of changes there. I want to show you the QuoteCenter because we made some changes there too that are really, really cool. So I'm going to go ahead and go in here. I'm going to go to the QuoteCenter tab. If you're not familiar with what QuoteCenter is, it's just it's a monitor where you can view stocks and that kind of stuff. I'm going to take out the symbol right here so that these options line up. Now, if I had a bunch of, this is a computer. This is our demo computer, so I don't have like my portfolio lists and stuff like that here. Of course, you can keep portfolio lists. I like to do that. I like to keep a list of things that are in my portfolio. But if I want to open up a watch list that kind of shows me everything in here, I can actually do that. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to wonder why this isn't showing my full constituents list. It's just showing the S&P 500. Kelly, do you understand why it's going on here? I don't know. I think it's anyway. Huh. I was just looking at this and it's giving me a proper list. But I think I'm just going to close the PowerConsole and see if that resets it. I think the searching of it kind of made it a little bit messy. See, I should have an S&P list here. Or what I actually wanted to show was a different list altogether. Oh, okay, something was stuck in the, I think probably on the other screen I had the search still selected. So this gets me back to where I wanted to go. Let me go to the index constituents right here. And what I'm just going to show you real quick is we're going to open up a quick Nifty 50 list. So right here we've got the S&P CNX Nifty 50. I'm going to go ahead and open it up. This quote center is something that we added like a version or two ago in MetaStock. It just allows you to see everything that's going on in the list. What I've got here is a list of all of the Nifty 50 stocks. Okay, we're going over. I think we're going to take about 5 more minutes. I'm going to try and keep this into time, not go too long with you. But if you can stay with me, it is a huge upgrade. I also don't want to do a disservice on it. So right here, I've got a list of all the Nifty 50 stocks. That was relatively easy to put together. I can tell you on that list of Nifty 50 that 24 of those stocks were up today and 26 of them were down. The 24 that were up 48%, and the 26 that were down 52%. So I can very, very easily change this. We did make a few other changes to the quote center. If I click in here, I can actually show you there's themes in here. The themes that I set this for, like if I set this to light, will also change the theme settings for the quote center, which we're going to go to in just a second. And so we save that. But we've also, when you click on this, it's going to use your template settings automatically. If you open up charts from this list, if you double click, it's just a little bit, it'll use your template settings from the PowerConsole to load your next chart. So we've made that a little bit more intuitive as well. Okay. To get to anonymous trader's question, we're going to kind of just, with quote center, that's what I'm going to show you. A few pretty nice changes. That gain or losers bar is really, really cool. What I want to do is actually, I'm going to close this out right now. And I just want to show you some of the changes that we've made to the option scope. So right here is the option scope. With this, this will work with all. This will work with Zenith data for Indian stocks. So it works with the real-time product. We haven't added Indian stocks to the end-of-day product, but so this does for India at least. This would work with U.S. stocks end-of-day, but for India it requires Zenith for now. But if I go into TCS.NS, I'm going to go ahead and open OptionScope here, and we'll go ahead and make this full screen. What we're going to get is a list of all of the options based on my filter settings. I didn't show the filter settings, but I can go to them right here. We're looking at a filter date of anything that expires on June 30th. Anything that's between plus 15 and minus 15% of the current strike price. We're looking at monthlies, and you can change all of these. This is just what we're looking at. You can add your own in or out of the money filters, and you can set what columns are made. Okay, and those haven't changed. Those are all available. It is opened it up as a white format because we did select white. Okay, so this is showing basically all the calls and puts that fit those criteria. It's also giving us a volume reading. So these are the calls. This is the volume for everything on the screen right now for all the calls, and this is the volume for all of the puts. Okay, so you can see very graphically that the call volume was higher than the put volume. You can also see that the open interest volume, the volume on open interest was higher on calls and puts. Okay, if I want to see what option had the most volume, if I click on top right here, it'll zero into this was the option with the most volume on this screen today. Okay. And I'll talk about pricing in just a few minutes, Ian. I'm going to try and wrap up really quick. But we will talk about pricing. So, and we will be doing offers as well with in conjunction with Viratech. Okay, awesome. Okay, the other thing I want to show you just real quickly is the ability to do strategies. We've added something that we have the ability to look at option strategies. So here you've got bear put strategies, and here's a list of them: bear put, bear call, covered call, long put, long straddle, married put, short put, short straddle. And we're not going to spend a lot of time on these just because we're out of time, and I don't want to keep you, I know even in India, it's probably getting pretty late over there. So, but if I wanted to do just show you how easy it is to plot one of these, I'll select a strategy. Okay, and I can go in and I can manually enter like the put and the price and that kind of stuff, or I could just select it from the list. Well, that wasn't. Let me do a different one real quick. Oh, because I did a bear put strategy. Let me do a long call real quick. And if I do a long call and I just select, hey, maybe I'm going to buy this option, it's going to automatically calculate that for me. So here we get a profit loss target. I can just select from the list the exact option I want. And based on any of those strategies, I can automatically know what my cost is, what my break-even point is, what my underlying price is, and kind of, with this one, since we're just buying a call, it's very simple. You have unlimited, infinite max profit, and then it'll give you a risk to reward number as well. This is customizable, so if you don't like the colors, or maybe you're colorblind, or you want to kind of change the colors, you can change the colors on this as well. But very, very easily, we are able, and you notice I just dragged that so you can see it a little bit better, but very, very easily, we are able to kind of go in and see what that price over time graph is going to look like for options. So Anonymous, I think it was you that was asking about options and how to see those. There you go. Hopefully that was helpful and answered your question. So let's move it back into the PowerPoint. Okay. So with option, you have the put call ratio at the top, shows you have the open interest, the volume, totals. You can view the most. You have those option strategies. Will not reread them. You can search for the top put call, and you can get the graphs for risk graphs. You can customize the colors, and it shares the theme settings with the QuoteCenter as well. So, and in addition, so if all of those changes aren't enough, one of the other things that we did, our most popular add-on of all time was called the Performance Systems Plus, and we added that to this version of MetaStock. We also made some small changes to the Haguro system, which I'm not even going to get into at all. The Haguro system was a really, really cool methodology that I built with Daryl Guppy in Australia, based on the work of Siki Shimzu. It has a very unique way of looking at candlesticks on a weekly basis. If you go to youtube.com/metastock and search for Haguro, there's lots of videos up there that you can learn more about it. Also, the YouTube MetaStock site is a great resource. So we also added some of Daryl Guppy's ATR indicators. I'll show you how those work very briefly as well. So to talk to you a little bit more about the Performance Systems Plus add-on, it's included for free now with every version of 18. It was an upgrade, or it was an add-on to MetaStock that we would charge $299 for, and it's just built into MetaStock 18 or higher. And the person that created the Performance Systems Plus basically tested thousands of methodologies, and he has his 10,000s of combinations of systems with stocks. He used daily stock data with no trade delay, didn't use stops. He used low price, low volume stocks. Well, no, I'm sorry, he excluded those. And he just found out of the thousands and thousands and the tens of thousands of tests that he did, he found the ones that had the best trading results over time. And the code on these are open. But in MetaStock, we've always had 26 built-in systems. We've actually now include all 80 of those performance systems. So those have been included as system tests, explorations, things that you can go and back test, and all of those are available as part of the system for free, or at, I should say, at no extra cost, because it's a little bit more technically accurate. So if I go back into MetaStock just to show you those, I can come in here. Let's go into MetaStock. I can go into the, and then I actually, you can plot option pricing too. Just so I accidentally plotted that option on the chart. I didn't mean to, but you can do that. Let's go ahead and click on the system test. And if I wanted to find all those performance systems, I can go ahead and type in performance systems, and you'll see all 80 of them are there on the list that you can select. So they're also available as scans. If you find a system you really like, you want to scan for it. I love scanning in MetaStock. I do it almost every day, except for like yesterday when I was training a new sales guy, and I was like, oh, dang it, I missed the market close. I didn't run my scans today, but almost every day I run a scan just to see what's out there and see if anything's exciting. So in addition to like the new charting, all this other stuff that we talked to, we're actually throwing in 54 new systems into MetaStock that you can test against all the NSEI stocks that you can scan against anything that you're interested in. And those are just included for free. It almost seems like a footnote that we're included, but you know, this is a huge upgrade. It took me a huge amount of time to talk about it. There's one last thing I want to show you because I thought it was pretty cool. We worked with Darryl Guppy to provide some ATR-based stops that you can use. And I'm going to kind of show you exactly how to use them. So we'll go back into a chart. And I'll just show you real quick. It's very simple. It's not going to take me long. I don't want to use it on this particular stock. Nope. Okay. Nifty 50 is fine. I'm going to clean this up just a little bit because as I start showing these new things, it can kind of get a little bit distracting. If I come into my indicator quick list, let's go down to the Guppy indicator. Okay. Actually, it might be at the top. No, see, it is. Okay. So let's say that for some reason, and you can use whatever reason that you want, but let's decide that we decided maybe Armo was giving us like a long-term bearish right about here. Maybe let's say that that's the reason that we decided to go short here. Okay, just hypothetically, it could be whatever short reason that you want. Okay, actually, I'm going to move that back to right here, just because I don't want it to stop that early. So let's say for whatever technical reason that we wanted, our system was telling us to go short here on June 3rd, and we want an average true range stop that Darryl Guppy put together and that we include with MetaStock. So the day that I need to pay attention to the day before I plot this indicator, June 3rd, 2022, we're going to use a short position. So right here, we've got our ATR short. I'm going to plot that on the chart right here. And what I'm going to do is I need to put the day in first, the month, and then the year. Okay. I can also put in a period number for ATR and a multiplier for ATR, and whether I want the stop to break either on the high or a close above the stop loss. So since it's a short position, when I do that, I'll click OK. I'm going to merge that with the scale on the right, and it's automatically going to tell me what that stop loss level is. So right here, boom, here is where we kind of stopped out on that short position. I must have closed above our stop, and so it stops calculating the value there. Okay, so you just add it like any other indicator. All you need to know is when your start date and your end date is, and you put that in, and it figures out your ATR stop. And you have control over what, again, the day. You need to know that, how many periods are used in that average true range, and the multiplier you want to use, and whether you want it to break on the high or the low. Once it breaks, it just turns into a flat line because you've hit your stop loss. Okay, so thanks to Darryl Guppy for his help in kind of putting that together. That is also included in 18 as part of the upgrade. That's a massive upgrade. I love this upgrade, man. So again, just to kind of reiterate what we talked about today, you're welcome, Anonymous. Appreciate it. Vivek says, can my personal built explorations and indicators been imported into the new version from the older version? Vivek, number one, thanks for using MetaStock. I appreciate it. I know I think I've talked to you before. Yes, as soon as you install 18, it's going to back up all your user files. The first time you run 18, it's going to import all of your 17 files into 18. So that's automatic. It'll say, hey, do you want to run the MetaStock migration utility? You say yes, and all of your indicators and explorations and anything that you've personally built, Vivek, will be pulled in. Okay. It's a huge upgrade. We've got the new chart. We've got the PowerConsole. We only talked about the upgrade today. And you've got the new OptionScope with all of those risk graphs. You've got the QuoteCenter. Don't forget that trendline tool. I freaking love it. It's my favorite tool in there. I use it all the time. You can see kind of, I like to measure peak to troughs and try and anticipate how far we're going based on that. The new ease of use, the search functionalities. In addition to all of that, we added another 54 systems from our most popular add-on of all time. And if you're using DC, it's a little bit easier to sign in, but that's not that big of a deal. It is when you're first getting started, and if you're first getting started. So for pricing, and I do want to remind you, 29 years in a row, it's been rated #1 by not the editors of Stocks and Commodities, not by us. I've rated it #1 as long as I've been here, but by the readers of Stocks and Commodities magazine. They do a Reader's Choice Awards every year, and we've won that 29 years in a row in the $200 to $500 category. It's a great software program. We've just really talked about what's new in 18 because that's kind of the point of this webinar, but don't forget the power tools that we've been working on since the 80s allow you to have some of the best system testing available. They allow you to do some of the best scanning available. They allow you to do our patented statistical forecasting. It's a great software program. I personally wouldn't trade without it. And so if you're brand new to MetaStock, normally we do have a price of $4.99 on the software for the retail price. Viratech software is who to contact about pricing for the price. If you're brand new to MetaStock, you want to get it, reach out to us at viratechsoftware.com. You can give them a call at 9133-400-599. You can drop them an email at support@viratechsoftware.com. It's a huge upgrade. We didn't even talk about like the massive power tools that make MetaStock such a successful program. So if there's more information that you need, feel free to reach out to Viratech. They'll help you out. Support@viratechsoftware.com. They're great. We always feel comfortable sending people over there because, I mean, there is a huge time difference, but we always know they're going to be taken care of when they have questions. So 9133-400-599 is the phone number for that. Vivek says, thanks. I've been using MetaStock from 1990s from the DOS version. Love you guys. I love you too, Vivek. Thanks for using MetaStock. Like, I appreciate that a lot. Take a look at 18. I think you'll love it as well. So in any case, that's it from me, guys. I appreciate your coming in, and contact Viratech Software with any questions you've got. I appreciate your coming today. I hope that was helpful for you, and I hope to see you at another webinar soon. Thanks.